What is up, my lovely friends? Welcome back to day 3 of the Goal Getter Groove Challenge. I am so excited to talk about today's subject. Now, today we're going to talk about how to handle and deal with uncertainty. Now, I am not a licensed therapist or an expert in this by any means, but as someone who has really struggled with depression over the last couple decades, I've gotten a lot of great strategies and tactics to use to grapple with mental health issues from therapists and things like that. So this is something that I have constantly been working on. And so hopefully we can really dive into this a little bit and figure out what are the best solutions for you, because all of us are different. How we handle uncertainty, stress, anxiety, depression, all of these things is very different. And so hopefully there's some things in here that'll help you, because if you're watching this live, watching the challenge live with me, then today is November 3rd, 2020. If you're watching in the future, you're probably like, honey, we already know what happened, so calm down. But hopefully, whatever happens in the future, hopefully it's all positive and good, especially after the year we've had. But we don't know that. As of right now, as of recording, we don't know who's won the election. We may not know for several days, maybe weeks. We don't know really what's happening with the pandemic, because, there's been surges all over the country, again, heading into the fall, late fall. And, with no real vaccine situation, ready to go, it just, all of it just seems like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I feel that right now in my life right now. I'm like, what should I be working on? What is actually reasonable? I in my business, I want to lead retreats and masterminds all over the world. Well, nobody's really traveling right now. So when can I do that? When is it safe for me to really start talking about that? So I am with you if you're feeling that a little bit of overwhelm, just not knowing really what's going to happen. Now, I'm going to reference several videos that I found that were really helpful to me over the past several months, and I'll link them down below in the description. But one of the things I have noticed is that, or that I've learned rather, is that when I really this is a human reaction. So anytime any of us sort of feel panic, feel stress, anxiety, depression, our brains and our bodies sort of snap into sort of that flight or fight mode, right? Our limbic system takes over. And that's when we start making decisions around, our emotions and safety and sort of like right now, the immediate concerns. That's all we really focus on. And instead, what happens is that it turns off all of our other mental capacities to make rational, balanced decisions and weigh the pros and cons and sort of look at the world from a very broad contextual perspective, and then make thoughtful, informed decisions moving forward. We don't do that. We're just like, okay, gotta do this, gotta buy all the toothpaper, gotta buy all the toilet paper and the toothpaste potentially, or I've got to, hoard all my money and whatever, you might be doing that, like you're freaking out about and feeling that uncertainty weigh on you. And so the way that we can combat this is through calming our natural human hormones and our limbic system down, and making sure that we have some tools in place to make sure that we can move forward in a kind of a calm way. Here's the deal. I have very strong opinions about what I want to happen in the election. I have very strong opinions about the pandemic and who we should be listening to and following the advice of in our society. But I know that I don't have control over other people's behavior, other people's vote, and how other people make decisions and enter into the world. I only have control over me and what I do, what I think. And so while I am a big believer in thinking about the larger community, when you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed from the uncertainty in your life, it's really important to kind of look in and be like, okay, deep breath. What can I control right now to feel safe and secure and hopeful for what's to come. So there are several different strategies I've used in the past, but some of the things that I think have been the most helpful is making sure that I have a support system. And it could just be a friend that you text or a family member that you can text when you're just like, oh, kind of overwhelmed. And you can sort of agree with each other that you're going to be that person you go to when you're feeling overwhelmed. And so instead of piling more on with the uncertainty and the stress, that you kind of agree to be each other's accountability buddy, where you can say, okay, but look at these other hopeful things or other things going on in the world that could give you some hope. So having that support system, because we're connected beings. We like to have connection. I'm a classic introvert, so I thrive being alone and being in my own space. But even I know when I'm hitting the edge of that being a good and healthy thing for me, and I need to reach out and I need to be around people. The other thing is to focus, again, what you can control. And so, if you can't go out of the house and don't control everybody else's vote and what the results of an election will be, the things you can control are, can you make a nice meal for you and your family today? Can you be vocal in supporting the causes and the organizations and the activists that you really believe in? You can control that. Can you control where you spend your money and what those decisions say about what you support? There's a lot of things that you can control, even if you can't determine the large macro result. I also think that gratitude has been an incredibly powerful thing for me, especially in my darkest times, of forcing myself. I know it sounds very abrasive, but sort of sitting down and really making myself fill up a page of all the things I was grateful for. And when I was really struggling with my depression, it was really hard because I was like, oh, it seems so lame to be grateful for my apartment or my dog or my boyfriend. But then when I started thinking even, about all those elements, about what they bring into my life and how it makes my life richer, it really did help me, at least for a little bit, get out of a really dark spiral doomsday situation in my mind. So showing some gratitude. So, if you're feeling that uncertainty, feeling a little anxiety come up, I would encourage you to just whip out a notebook and do like a rampage of appreciation, I've heard it called, and just write out all the things that you appreciate, all the things that you love, all the things that you're grateful for in your life. And you'll be surprised how it sort of changes your chemistry and how you're thinking and feeling in the moment. The other thing is sort of taking that gratitude to the next level is to serve others or just being kind to other people. There's nothing better than sort of like just doing a nice thing for others. And so maybe that's just reaching out to your community, your support system, and saying, hey, do you need anything? How can I help you? Do you need a 10-minute vent session? Do you need to have cocktails over Zoom? Do you need to do a socially distanced walk together, outside somewhere? Ask people how you can serve them. And obviously you could, volunteer for organizations, be a part of like a calling bank, all the sorts of things you can do, like even around elections. But you can do the big things, the grand things. You can also just do the smaller acts of kindness as well. And I promise you, those types of things really shift you emotionally, and they will help you feel less anxiety about the uncertainty that is just part of life. We all have a certain level of knowing and planning and things that we can control and implement, and then there's always that little bit extra that it's like it's unplannable. There's nothing you can do about that, and you can only control what you can control. The other thing is, I think, really important is to be gentle with yourself, and not allow yourself, or at least get out of a situation where you find yourself kind of in a pit of despair, or you're comparing yourself to others and scrolling the gram and seeing that everybody else is out there crushing it and you're feeling like, I'm not crushing it. It's really important to be gentle with yourself and recognize that you're doing what you can given the circumstances, the resources, and your emotional state at the time. And that's great. Whatever you can do right now is great. And remember that if other people are out there and they're like hustling and killing it and learning 17 languages, great. That's great. A great phrase I've heard my coach say to me, actually. She said, you know what? Because I would say, like, I kind of want to do something this way. And she would say, you know what? If you like it, I love it for you. And that's the same way you can sort of approach what other people are doing that might make you feel bad or bad about what you're doing and the things you're trying to control. The last thing I will say is to put together just like a contingency plan. Like, what if things don't work out? What if you lose your job? What if, the election doesn't go the way you would prefer it? What if the pandemic lasts longer than we anticipate? There's a lot of different sort of scenarios out there, and you can decide now, like, okay, if that does happen, what do I need to do? Are there skills I need to learn to make me more credible in my field and more attractive as a candidate? Is there a little bit of money that I can start squirreling away in case of one of those doomsday situations? Can I get a flu shot or something to sort of help my immune system and keep me out of the healthcare system while it's overwhelmed? I mean, there's a lot of things that you could put on your contingency plan. It's going to be unique to you, but I highly encourage you to think about, what can I do? And again, it comes back to the things you can control. And that's what I want you to focus on, because moving forward, we're going to be looking at your goals, your action items, your key drivers, all the different mechanics of like what it means to grow a career, grow a business. All these things are going to be there for you. And I'm going to talk about them each day. But at the same time, you also have to recognize that nothing is certain. And when you get into those moments of potential despair or stress, anxiety because of that uncertainty, I need you to know how you can protect yourself from it and grapple with it in a very loving and powerful way, so that you can, again, live your most brazen, audacious, and badass life. So find one of these tools or one of these tactics and try it today. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed and uncertainty is sort of getting at you, choose one of these things I've talked about and see how you feel after. And I'd love to know how it works out. Let me know down in the comments. You can also come say, hey, DM, comment on the video over on Instagram. I'm the new Dorothy, and I will see you all tomorrow, no matter what happens in the world, because that's the thing I can control. All right, remember that every day you postpone a dream, you weaken it just a little. So get out there and make some magic happen. Cheers.